check. Yep. Good morning, market snipers. Welcome back. This is Jesse getting started right at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right on the dot as usual. Woo! Hope everyone had a good weekend. Before we get started, just gonna jump over here and let's see, unpin this on the profile. Boom. Don't want too many videos playing at once. Probably messes up the algorithms, but first half of the live stream, we will cover Bitcoin. We will cover, let's see, this one. Yep. Repost. Quick little emoji. Help me help you help me with the algorithms. Like, comment, throw an emoji, share with all your friends and family. I would appreciate it. And help the algorithms get rocking and rolling over here today. So just a little reminder in the ticker. Hopefully the internet doesn't go out today. Oh boy. Had some troubles on Friday with the Wi-Fi. That's what you get. That's what you get when you pay for the best Wi-Fi. Actually, that was the first time it had gone out on a live stream that I've ever seen that I remember. So, but we recovered. We came back on. Everyone can still see the ticker symbol, the ticker down below, the scroller. But you couldn't see the video. You couldn't see the chart, and I don't think you could hear me either. So, but yeah, there we go. The Wi-Fi is currently working. Hopefully it's good to go today. Not sure what happened on Friday, but it happens. It's called a live stream. So none of this is scripted. I'm not reading a teleprompter. None of this, like I said, none of this is scripted. None of this is edited. And of course, obviously none of this is financial advice, for educational purposes only. And hopefully we find some entertainment along the way, whether it's making fun of me, for name pronunciations, Wi-Fi's, not having the mic on for 20 minutes. That's happened before. So, but let's jump into it. The first half of the live stream, we will cover Bitcoin, altcoins, stocks, whatever jumps out at me on the watch list. We're going to try to keep, I have a lot of, one of the reasons why I stopped doing live streams is because I had some big projects I wanted to tackle. And I've got a whole list of big projects. So we're going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter. If I go 2 hours, I don't have much brain bandwidth to keep going to tackle big projects. So probably going to try to keep this to like 45 minutes. So we'll just rock and roll through it. No 20-minute rants. But here we are already a few minutes into it. So let's jump in. Second half of the live stream, we will cover your chart requests, but just make sure to put in the ticker symbol, the name of the asset, and the asset class. If you don't put in all the details, I might waste a lot of time searching for the one that you wanted, and it might be the wrong one that I chart. So, that's about it. But here we are, Bitcoin. Could you please take a look at gold charts? Sure. Yep. Let's go. Okay. Let's go, Jo. Okay, let's do it. Oh yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. AMD. If it's making, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at AMD. We'll see. Oh yeah, we start. This is going on the third week now, so we've done 2 full weeks of live streams. But yeah, two weeks of full live streams. So welcome back. Yep, thank you. Yep, drop the like for Algo. Awesome. Appreciate it. Don't forget to share it. Yep. All right, we'll get into it. Shooter, by the way, what's up? Long time. Cake. Okay. I don't think there's any stocks named Cake, but just double check. Make sure to let me know it's crypto. if there's a certain exchange you want me to take a look at, all that stuff. So here we are. This is a Bitcoin 3-week chart, right? If you look at it, the monthly chart, I mean, still currently looks fine, but depending on how it closes, obviously it doesn't close with the new all-time high at about 115,923. Didn't close down here at 103,548. Closes somewhere around here. It's like an indecisive candle, which is typically bearish. But everyone knows, if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that what my thoughts are on patterns, candlestick patterns, all that stuff, how often it works out. I don't base my trading strategy off of it, but I'll use them as ideas to, maybe line up with what I'm already kind of seeing. So that's monthly chart. If we drop back down to the 3-week chart, the bulls try to push it back up. When I posted the 3-week chart, the candle was all the way down here, the potential candle close, but the candle, it kept pushing up, and the last couple of hours, it pushed up all the way to 114,000-ish, but still closed with a bearish engulfing candle. So, and a lot of people in the comments are saying that's not a bearish engulfing candle, but if you go look at any of the definitions by Investopedia or whatever, and again, I don't coach candlestick patterns. I just talk about them when I see them. But that, by all definitions, that's a bearish engulfing candle. It's of the body. And, if you wanted to argue, the wick took out the wick too. And that wick is above that wick. So I don't see there any definitions of why that's not a bearish engulfing candle. So if you're just looking at it with a neutral lens, a clear lens, and you're not, and you don't have a bullish lens on it, I mean, by all definitions, that's a bearish engulfing candle. A couple other examples. This is not. This one is, and you can see that price push straight back up. So when I put in the original post, patterns don't play out 100% of the time. You can see that this was a bearish engulfing candle, and it did not play out, right? So of course, that's the one that people love to point out. People don't point out this bearish engulfing candle when I post it, right? And then price went lower. So this is the one time it didn't, that we're looking here, right? I'm probably not going to go all the way back 10 years of Bitcoin prices, right? So bearish engulfing, and it flipped right back around. Bearish engulfing, price went lower. No bearish engulfing on the 3-week at least, right? And then you go all the way back to, this was a bearish engulfing candle. I don't see people pointing that one out, and price went lower. This was a bearish engulfing candle, and price went lower, right? This was a bearish engulfing candle on the 3-week chart, and price did go lower. It did reverse back around, but it did go lower first. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as of right now, 6 out of 7 price went lower. So is this the 1 out of 7 that doesn't go lower, or is it one of the 7 that does go lower? So for whatever that's worth to you, like I mentioned, 100% of the patterns don't work out. Not 100%. What did I say? Patterns don't work out 100% of the time. Oh my God. Here we go. It's Monday morning. The Vikings got crushed on Thursday. Oh, that was brutal. That was just brutal. 34-10. Disgusting. My fantasy team is probably going to lose to my wife. Equally disgusting. She's good though. She's good though. What else? What else? Baby's doing great. All right, so that's 3-week candle. Go to the weekly, right? Here's the weekly. Throw on. Remember, we had the sell signal, and if it's a buy signal, you could turn on the filter on the strategy that's rolling out. You can turn on the filter to where it would close the position. Like if you're sell and it was in a closed position or not, or just completely disregards it. And then if there's a close back above, it can close it there. There's so many different options, right? But see, the difference is you get a buy signal. You can have the strategy do a buy signal. And by the way, I don't do it on the weekly chart, but you could buy signal on the weekly chart, and it's above the trending dots. There's a buy signal below the trending dots. So we'll see how it plays out. Buy signal above. So it's not perfect, right? This is a buy signal above. This is buy signal below. Price goes lower. So again, I don't trade based off the weekly chart. The daily chart did have a buy signal above. So seems like it's coming in for the retracement from this high here. You got this low here. So you had a low and then you had a lower low. Now we're looking for possible lower high. So we'll see how it plays out. This could be invalidated in the near future. So just keeping that in mind. It did go in the correct direction, which I think, on those head and shoulder patterns, I think it's probably about a 50-50 that it goes in the right direction. And then I think it's like 30 to 35% chance that it actually hits the price target overall. So the probabilities were increasing as price is coming down. And then once it starts to reverse back up, now the probabilities decrease, right? So we'll see if it's, in my opinion, it's not invalidated yet. Could just be forming more of a right shoulder. So we'll see how it plays out. But, whether that's like this, right? And then comes back down. So we'll see how it plays out. But that could still be work out the same way, right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But it has reversed back around, and there is a buy signal as of right now. So if you're in a short, when did you get out of your short, right? This is the indicator, but on the strategies, it's lined up similar to the indicator. There is, for example, if you're in this short position and got in at 112.983 and you didn't lock in profits, there is an exit strategy to where you can exit based off of a candle close back above the trending dots, right? And so that short would have still, assuming it was spot only, but say if it was like 1x or whatever, still 1.62%, right? So if the strategy closed on the sell and then it exited based off of what you input on the settings, then it would have closed the position right there, right? So, of course, you could have had a stop loss put in. You could have had a trailing stop loss, right? So if you had a trailing stop loss triggered, like say if it triggers, say at 5%, you're like, once it hits 5%, put in a trailing stop loss, right? And if it reverses back, 5%, then close the position. So there's so many ways you can set this up. with stop loss, a take profit, move stop loss to break even. It's all built in. Trailing stop loss. There's reversal exits. There are flipping the dots, candle close back above, exit. There's so many different ways you could build it out. So endless possibilities. Caesar, welcome back. So that's where we are. We did have a buy signal on Bitcoin daily chart, but like I've shown on the 3-week chart, it would be very hard to trust it. So if you took this buy signal because you're disregarding the 3-week bearish engulfing candle, that's your choice, right? Or you're just letting the software do its thing, then hopefully you put in a stop loss. Hopefully you have an exit strategy. Hopefully you know when to sell. If you're letting it hit the buy signal, then also have the exit strategy laid out in advance. So that's that. Weekly chart. Looking at RSI sell signal, dropped 32%. RSI sell signal, 32%. RSI sell signal has dropped 20% so far. And it's still moving downward, right? Still moving downward. These peaks continue to go lower while price goes higher. Eventually, price is going to catch up to relative strength. So relative strength is decreasing on the weekly chart and the higher time frames. The 3-week chart has a bearish engulfing candle. So I'm expecting the recent buy signal and bounce on Bitcoin to be sold off. Doesn't mean that it will. It's never 100% guarantee. But for those reasons on the higher time frames, I'm expecting it to get sold off. So for the record, in case you want to catch me on record, right? They got you guys. You caught me. I went on record saying that. Will I be right? I don't know. We'll find out. We will find out. So that's Bitcoin on the 3-week chart, the weekly chart, and the daily chart. Covered all that. Let's see. Let's go back to the daily chart. Ethereum has hit 3 out of 4 targets to the downside so far. Is this going to be a lower high? That's what we're going to find out. It did have a buy signal. It is back above the trending dots. So just as it was back here, it bounced. So maybe it only hits 3 targets, right? One thing that looks different on Ethereum versus Bitcoin, there was the bullish divergence. Could be a higher low, right? Could be a higher low plus the buy signal after that. If you look at the weekly chart, there was an RSI sell signal. So could just be another lower high, right? So that's what you got to look at, the overall time frame. Another way you can look at it is the bullish divergence was already cleared, right? So the bullish divergence is already cleared. So if you're playing that buy signal to the upside, just know that very, very cautiously when the higher time frames are bearish. Could this just flip right back around? Absolutely. It absolutely could. 3-week chart. No bearish engulfing candle on the 3-week chart, right? So it does look a little bit different than Bitcoin. So it's kind of a wait and see. We'll see how it goes. But it does have the RSI sell signal, but it doesn't have the 3-week bearish engulfing candle. Somewhere in between. So just know that if you are taking a buy here, it's got to be cautious. Got to have an exit strategy because this was a high. This is a lower high. This is a lower high. Confirmed with the lower low. Could be another lower high. So just know what your strategy is in advance, and then make business decisions off of that. So what else? SP 500 making new all-time high. Again, if you're taking this sell, most likely you're out already, right? And then if you took this sell, then you're out already, right? So get chopped up here or there. But if you weren't taking that sell and you were just, there's a strategy within the inputs as well where you're like, okay, I never short, right? Like if your mindset was I never short, you could switch it to say only take long positions, right? So you'd be in here to take a long position, and then that sell just closes the long position, right? So that's another strategy. If you're always just want to take the bullish side, which makes sense. There is a case for that, right? I like to trade up or down, but some people only want to trade the bullish side up. So it would be a buy signal, and that would be a close, right? Close the position. So, and it wouldn't take a short there if you selected that. So something to think about. Like I said, there's probably millions of ways for each trading bot that you could customize it. This is just off the daily chart. You can go to 5-minute chart. You go to 15-minute chart. You go to Heikin-Ashi candles, right? And that buy signal would get you in higher, but then it would get you out higher instead of over here. It would get you out over here, right? So, and then there's another buy signal over here, back above the trending dots on Heikin-Ashi, and so there's so many different ways that you could set this up. If you did Heikin-Ashi, you just got to know that you got to set it to OHLC to get realistic pricing, right? There's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, but stay on the candles for now. So there are positives to Heikin-Ashi and negatives as well. So of course with anything. So that's SP 500. Let's see, Algo, still watching it back up into here. So you have the fake out to the upside, fake out to the downside, back in, another one to the downside, back in to this, just compressing. So we're going to find out if there's going to be an altcoin bounce in the future or not. We'll see. The problem is, even if there's a bounce, the weekly chart is bearish, right? The weekly chart is bearish. And you can see, even though price was over here, right? And it's below the trending dots, it bounces, comes back down, bounces, comes back down, bounces back into the trending dots, even goes higher, and then comes back down, right? So it's not until like the consolidation looks better and better and better, and then it's finally back above the trending dots as a weekly chart, and you have a buy signal, right? So the dots kind of start to get smoothed out. It's not when the trending dots in a weekly chart are trending downward, right? Because the trend is down. So right now the trend is down on the weekly chart. If you kind of draw this out, the trajectory of it, so if it was going to get smoothed out, right? So maybe it would battle, right? Battle, and then finally have that buy signal, and then takes off to the upside. So that's just the way I'm looking at it. because the overall trend is down. You can see. And then finally it pops above nicely and then heads back up. So right now it's considerably lower than the trending dots. RSI sell signal, right? RSI sell signal over here. There is bullish divergence over here, followed by buy signal back above the trending dots. Then a buy signal after that on the next candle. Then back to the sell, buy, sell. And those sells are getting lower too. So I just, being cautious with the daily buy signals. Could the bottom be in? Sure. The bottom could be in, but the weekly chart is still bearish as of right now. XRP had a buy signal a couple of days ago, right? XRP had a buy signal here, back above the trending dots. If you go to the weekly chart, still bearish, right? Drew this out, must have been last week, right? Drew this out where the trending dots are up here and it's in a downward trajectory. So still expecting the bounce to get sold off, right? Lower highs and lower lows. When the overall higher time frame trends are trending downward, then I'm expecting bounces to get sold off. When the overall higher time frames are trending upward, I'm expecting any dips to buy those, right? So either side of the coin, whichever way you're looking at it. But had the buy signal, but it's well below the trending dots, well below it. You guys see it. Yes, it had the buy signal and it's above the trending dots on the daily chart, but the overall trend on the weekly chart is trending downward. So even if it comes back up over here, case in point, if you're looking bullish over here, right? This was completely different setup. Like down here, it's well below the trending dots, and it takes time before a big move happens, right? It just looks different. So when it's well below the trending dots, this was a massive buy. And thankfully, Mom made over 300% within like 3 weeks. It was amazing. I wish we would get moves like that all the time. But after that move, consolidates, one more push up. Mom didn't make as much on that one. But that was like one more nice pump, right? That one was more difficult. This one seemed very, very clear to me at the time. This one seems less clear, pump up. And now it's the trending dots are trending downward. So we'll see how it plays out. Could always just completely reverse, but it's still below the trending dots. So even if this is the bottom that's in, right? And if you're just bullish no matter what, then it could spike up, still come back down, and then it still takes time for the ship to get turned around, right? It still would take time on the weekly chart for the ship to get turned around because of the higher time frames. So that's what we're looking at on XRP. A lot of these altcoins look similar, so we won't spend a ton of time on it. XCN weekly chart just in a downward trend. You can see well below the trending dots, spikes up, comes back down, spikes up, comes all the way back down, while the trending dots continue to go down, right? Chain link, well below the trending dots on the weekly chart. Near, below the trending dots on the weekly chart. Cardano, Ondo, H-bar, still in the downward trend. QNT, downward trend. XLM, downward trend. This was massive move to the upside, right? Massive pump. Came all the way back down, pumped up, did not make a new all-time high over this. Is that the all-time high? That's not all-time high either. Did not make a pivot high over here. Here's another Bitcoin chart. Another Bitcoin chart. That one didn't have a sell, but that's a crypto cap. Solana below the train dots currently. What else? Bitcoin futures has only hit 2 out of 4 targets. On Binance, it almost hit the third, almost hit 3 out of 4 targets. There is a tiny small gap over here. Nothing to write home to mom about. Ethereum below the train dots in the weekly chart, right? So, and SUI well below the train dots, right? Oof. Yeah. Mana, fetch. It's not that you can't play the bounces. You just have to realize that the probabilities of those bounces are going to be sold off. Not the probabilities aren't that, while it's in a downtrend with the weekly chart, that it goes to the moon. Can it flip around? Absolutely. Absolutely can flip around, but it would take time. It would take time. Oof. Filecoin, DOT, AVAX, Bitcoin dominance. So this chart just holding out for hope, right? That altcoins one day will pump. I'm holding out for hope, right? I know I get a lot of bearish. Oh, you're a perma bear. But I am holding out on hope on this Bitcoin dominance chart that altcoins do get an amazing pump to the upside. I'm holding out hope, but we don't know if it will or not. And this was drawn out back here in September, right? So a month ago. It did spike all the way up to 63.5%, right? So if the Bitcoin dominance does put in a lower high, or this is going to be a lower high, and then continues lower, maybe we can get some altcoins that pump hard. Maybe, I don't know. I'm holding out for hope. So we'll see. We're going to keep this on the back burner. This chart suggests it could take some time, right? Like if it came all the way over here and took another 8 weeks, this is an 8 week, each bar is 1 week, right? If it took another 8 weeks and then 9 weeks, 10 weeks for it to come all the way back down, right? 10, 11 weeks, take out this pivot point, 12 weeks, right? To come all the way down and hit longer term target 2 before altcoins are really pumping. That makes sense where, so two things. This chart suggests that we could have another bigger dump on altcoins, maybe possibly go back and get close to retesting that wick from October 6th, right? And then the drop on Bitcoin dominance. And then that's when you see maybe the full rotation from Bitcoin over into Ethereum, over into altcoins, possibly, right? This is all pure speculation. So is it possible we see a bigger move down first on altcoins, then possibly see the Bitcoin dominance drop and altcoins reverse back around, and we see one nice big 2-3 month rally maybe on altcoins? I don't know. One could hope. One could only hope, right? That would be amazing. Are we going to get what we want? I don't know. This time is different, right? People are already saying that it wasn't retail driven, it was institutional driven. The downside of that is that institutions, are they going to be rotating money from Bitcoin over to altcoins? I doubt it. Maybe a couple of them, maybe Ethereum, but I doubt it, right? So maybe the retail rotation in would just be not as great as it once was, right? So that's what we're kind of looking at on Bitcoin, altcoins, still holding on for hope. Still holding on for hope. Let's see, what else? Rarible, just getting crushed. Trump, crushed ever since up here. So we'll see if it flips around or not. There is a pending buy signal in the daily chart. Is it going to flip? Right? Is it going to flip? Maybe. But we want to see the Bitcoin dominance, all that, take place as well. So ETH, BTC. Right? Laid this magnet out a long time ago, and it came out here, which means, could have come back to retest it, sure. But I had the magnet drawn up to there. It's possible Ethereum is going to continue to make its move and have a breakout over Bitcoin. Too early to say, though. Weekly chart is still bullish, but you'd want to see it get back above the trending dots. You want to see it get back above the trending dots. You have a buy signal while the weekly chart is still bullish on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So, like I said, it looks a little bit different than Bitcoin. There is more optimism. There is more hope in my voice for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. There is no bullish engulfing candle on the 3-week chart like Bitcoin. Maybe Bitcoin dominance increases a little bit more and then possibly dump to send Ethereum and the altcoins higher. I don't know. We'll see. Hello. Welcome back. Let's see. Let's take a look at Magnificent Seven. That's become. We got Tesla back above the trend line, back above the trending dots. No sell signal yet. SMCI, TQQ. All these targets are invalidated. There you go. Boom. Invalidated. Anytime it takes out this pivot point over here, it's invalidated, right? So the targets have to be redrawn. But making new all-time highs on TQQ, ANF, just dumped hard. PLTR made new all-time highs. All these targets are invalidated, right? Took out this pivot over here. Has not closed higher as of yet, but it could today. So it did wick higher. So there you go. Google continues to be on fire over there. NVIDIA coming back in for a retest of the trend line. Again, if NVIDIA takes out this pivot point too, these targets are also invalidated. Stocks are crushing. What else? Making new all-time highs. NASDAQ back above the trend line, back above the trending dots. Microsoft, Amazon, Apple making new all-time highs. SP 500. Woo-wee. Netflix. I think someone asked for Netflix too. Let's see what else. Did someone ask for gold? We'll cover gold. AMD. Do I have AMD on here? Pretty sure I do. All right, so let's go over on to gold. Gold. There it is. Spot. What's this? This is from the last one, the last stream. I think I have it over here. Gold futures. Have been drawing it over here. So again, just to recover, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because you can look at previous live streams. You can see that we covered this a few times, but there is a pending sell signal right now. And drew these target eyeball tests out. But just know that it could just be a retracement of that 30% move. That's a nice 30% move. And of course, there were reply guys that were saying gold has never had 60% pump within a year. And all I did was scroll back to 1979, 1980. And within a 2-month period, gold pumped 113%. So that was not an accurate statement. So if you're trying to fit into a narrative that once gold crashes, Bitcoin's going to pump, trade each chart individually first and foremost. Secondly, do more research than just seeing what you see on Twitter X or YouTube, and then regurgitate the same exact thing on a reply. It took me 30 seconds to scroll back to find where gold actually made a bigger move to the upside in a shorter period of time, like twice as high in a shorter period of time. So, just know that. So there is a pending sell signal. So if you're in a gold position, maybe you're taking profit. I personally wouldn't be shorting this because I'd be worried about there's a difference of taking profit based off of a sell signal versus shorting it. Like all the gotcha guys will short it with size. You have to know what the landscape is looking like. So if the higher time frames are flipping bearish and there is a lower high established, that is a higher probability to take a short. If the higher time frames are still bullish or ultra bullish, this could just be a short-term pullback, and then you'd be looking for a buy the dip scenario, or you'd be looking for a higher high that possibly puts in bearish divergence, and then this would be the lower high. So while the higher time frames are still bullish, I'm looking for more of this would be a higher probability that the top is in, right? Not here. Could the top be in? Yes, it could be. But the top, we don't know yet. We don't know if this is the top. This could just be a local top for a correction and then comes out like this. So whether it's here or here and then goes on to make new all-time highs again, right? Because the higher time frames are bullish. If this is going to be a local top with bearish divergence followed by a lower high, it would still take time for it to play out, right? So me personally, even though I would prefer a setup like this where there's bearish divergence followed by a lower high, breakdown from upward trend line, and that would be a higher probability or a more viable short on gold, right? In my opinion, because the higher time frames are still bullish and ultra bullish, depending on what time frame you're looking at. Weekly chart, 2-week chart, monthly chart, 3-month chart, right? But if you're in this long from back here, right, in your swing trading, at what point do you lock in profits? a close below the trending dots, a sell signal, right? 17%. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're trading gold futures, that's a lot. 20% multiplied by leverage, that's massive move in a short period of time, right? Was that 40 days or 59 days, 40 trading days, right? It's a massive move. So not ready to call it yet, but if you get targets hit and then see how it goes from there. It takes some time to play out because of the higher time frames are still bullish overall. So it could be a buy the dip scenario to make a new all-time high. Maybe there's future divergence. Maybe there's a lower high after that, and then it comes down here, right? Or it finds support and then makes its next move higher, right? And why do I say that? Because the weekly chart is still bullish, right? So still well above the trending dots, still bullish. You can see the last buy signal was over here in November 2023. Is it due for a major correction? Absolutely. Could it continue to go higher? Absolutely. But it seems like it wants to at least retest the trending dots. And the trending dots will continue to move higher as well, right? So seems like it wants to at least retest that. 2-week chart, still currently ultra bullish, way above the trending dots. So could be something like this, where it moves sideways, could make another move up. That wick is ugly though, so we'll see. 3-week chart, still ultra bullish. Still way above the trending dots. Monthly chart, still ultra bullish on the monthly chart. 3-month chart, still ultra bullish on the monthly chart. So wick there. So after this huge wick on the 3-month chart, you see it's still, it never went on to make a new all-time high on that wick, but it did fill some of that wick in over time. So like just knowing that this is a 3-month chart, like if it never goes higher than 4,400, yes, it would be true that the top is in, but also be true like if it took like all this time before it comes down like that, and the trending dots are like trending up like that, right? So both would be true. Still bullish, but at the same time, still bullish because price still goes higher, but you could also say the top could have been in too, right? So hindsight is hindsight. It's looking like at least a local top right now, but with those higher time frames being bullish, you know, I would expect at least a bounce. At least a bounce. That's what I would expect. What else? Cypher. I think I saw Cypher on there. Garcia, Roberto. I got it on here somewhere. There it is. So Cypher crushed, right? Went on to make new all-time highs over September 2021. Hit 4 out of 4 longer-term targets, and then once it broke through, just crushed. And just know that this usually happens towards the end of the Bitcoin cycle, right? Go all the way back to, it was pumping September 2021. So it was happening towards the end of the Bitcoin cycle. Here we are again, went parabolic towards the end of the Bitcoin cycle. So was that the top on October 15th? Will this be a lower high? It's possible. You have bearish divergence going all the way back to September 17th. This could be a lower high here. There was an RSI sell signal. So still ultra bullish on the weekly chart. So we'll see what happens. But the daily chart, bearish divergence. So very similar on gold. Like like gold could be down here like this, right? And then pumps all the way back up, puts in bearish divergence, comes down, puts in a lower high, and then takes that pivot out, right? So that's what I was trying to visualize. Gold is exactly what cipher mining is doing. So yes, it pumped up here, came down. The higher time frames are still bullish, pumped up even higher, made a new all-time high, came back down after bearish divergence, and this could be a lower high. Too early to say. Too early to say. Trending dots are still down here, so the trending dots kind of roll over like that, right? So could be like one of these things too. Right? So just be aware of that. So if you're in a nice long position, you know, at what point do you consider taking profit, right? Woo. Yep. AMD. Okay. How high could it go? AMD. Last time I looked, it was pumping. It was bullish. I thought I had it on here. I'm pretty sure I have it on there. But for sake of, yep, it's on there. Yeah, it's still ultra bullish as of right now, but there's huge gaps below. This is a pretty big gap. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually that gap's going to get filled because it's 18.7%, right? So you got that gap, you got smaller gaps, but who knows how high it could go, to be honest, because when it's in price discovery, when it's making new all-time highs, it's, you know, could you have like targets get hit, you know, based off of Fibonacci to the higher point? Yeah, you could. But retracement targets get hit a lot more often. So when it's making new all-time highs, it's hard to say where the top is, right? So this was a nice breakout, right? Nice breakout from this downward move. March 2024 came all the way down to $76 and then just pumped, right? Woo! This could be additional bearish divergence. The weekly chart is ultra bullish. I wouldn't be shorting here personally when it's ultra bullish on the weekly chart. 2-week chart, ultra bullish on the 2-week chart. Yeah, I wouldn't be shorting here. It's just a matter of, you know, if you're in a long position, this was a nice move on the 2-week chart, right? Break the downward trend line back above the 200, boom, pumped, right? So from the 200 came up 200% and then came back down the 200-week moving average. Remember, the 200-week moving average is still at 122. So again, another 125. Like if it came up 200%, similar to the previous pump, right? It's possible, and then comes back down the 200-week moving average. So could be a sustained move for weeks or months. Of course, you know, expect pullbacks along the way on the daily chart or the lower time frames. But the higher time frames are ultra bullish. The daily chart's ultra bullish. So how high can it go? The last big pump was over 200%. I mean, that's possible, right? That is possible. Let's see, for fun, let's put on that's a full move right there. right? $258. Does it go higher? That 200% move from the 200-week moving average, that was similar to the previous, takes you up to the 1.618, right? So you can put on the fib extension, and maybe it hits some of these higher targets up here. But interesting that it's currently at the full move right here at 1. So maybe that's it, but maybe not. Maybe it continues higher because so you could put in like just for fun. Right? If it pumps all the way up into that box area, just be more like and you're looking at the 2-week chart, if it takes time to play out, as an example, right? That's a pretty massive move. So even from the 200-week moving average, if it gets extended that far, so you just have to decide what you think and just watch the charts. But the trending dots are pretty far extended away as well. So I don't know. There's reasons come up here, but also it just hit the fib extension 1. So you could draw it out like that again, right? Even on the 2-week chart. Here, right? Kind of keep that on. So hopefully that helps. I don't know. I don't know. Have some ideas, but I don't know. Higher. Could go higher. What else? Thank you. Cake. All right, you got it. Cake USDT. Got it. All right. I'm pretty sure I don't have that one on here. Cake USDT. Probably Binance. Currently bullish on the 2-week chart. Oh my gosh. Brutal. Yeah, Cake has not made a new all-time high since April 2021, right? Is there hope? 2-week chart has a glimmer of hope. The monthly chart has a glimmer of hope. Still below the 200-week moving average as of right now. Monthly chart. Weekly chart. Back below the trailing dots as of right now. Daily chart still below the trailing dots, still below the 200-week moving average, which is bearish by many investor definitions. Was this the low in October 2023 at $1? Maybe, but maybe it comes back too because I think, what was it? Rose came all the way back to that pivot point at $1. So the daily chart is still bearish. It's still below the 200-week moving average. Those are the negatives. The weekly chart is back below the trailing dots as of right now. There is a glimmer of hope on the 2-week chart. There is a glimmer of hope on the monthly chart. So if you're holding on to the hope, that's the hope right there. The monthly chart. But you can see where, buy signal there, and then came all the way back down. So, but that would be your hope. Get back above the 200-week moving average, and the hope becomes more hopeful. So there you go. Oh, no problem. You got it. You got it. You got it. Cake's one of those easier ones that you would remember. That is most likely just a crypto. Uh, but there are so many out there that it's hard. It's hard to say. Dun, dun. TLT. Yep. Let's look at TLT. Boom, 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 boom. TLT. Yeah, I mean, you and your brother have been in recorded coaching forever. There's like 60 plus hours of recorded coaching videos, but I know there's a language barrier, so that's probably tough. 60 hours is a lot to sit through. I know. But yeah, I try to look at the weekly chart, especially for the daily. Oh, buy signals disappearing on Cake as we speak. Oh, the glimmer of hope is flickering. Weekly chart, 2-week chart, 3-week chart, monthly chart, right? Try to look at it all, but if you're trading on the daily chart, probably looking at the weekly chart more so. I would say, like, for example, Bitcoin when it was at November 2022, December 2022, right? There was bullish divergence on the daily chart, and there was bullish divergence on the weekly chart. So I wasn't waiting for a monthly reversal. I wasn't waiting for a 3-week reversal. I wasn't waiting for a 2-week reversal. But the weekly chart, I was seeing bullish divergence, and the weekly chart was starting to flip around. And meanwhile, the daily chart and stuff like that. So I personally took a 5x leverage based off of the daily chart, going into like buy signal mode, while the weekly chart was flipping around, while the weekly chart did have bullish divergence. So I was basing it off of then. And so that buy was like January 3rd, January 4th, the flip of that, depending on where you're at. And in the weekly, didn't have a buy signal until January 9th. So it was lagging. I was front running the weekly signal, but there were signs on the weekly chart. The weekly chart was flipping and building momentum back to the upside after the bullish divergence, and the daily chart as well. So that's pretty much all I can cover without going into deeper and deeper. Yeah, so that's that. But that's Cake. Let's see, TLT. Yeah, let's look at TLT. I have it on here. Where is it though? TLT. There it is. There it is. So this is the monthly chart, back above the trending dots. I had already drawn this out in the previous 2-week chart is bullish as of right now, but still underneath the 200-week moving average, something to pay attention to. Hasn't taken out this pivot point in the 2-week chart yet. Weekly chart is still bullish, right? Did take out this pivot point over here with this close over here, and then took out this pivot point. And so starting to look better and better. In hindsight, this is looking like the bottom. This is looking like a higher low on the macro weekly. So you got the weekly chart is bullish, even had the buy signal. Momentum's to the upside. 2-week chart, longer term bullish divergence back here. Looks like a higher low. And now we're making a move to the upside, right? So that's what I'm watching. Expect pullbacks along the way, but it is bullish as of right now. Above the trending dots on the daily chart, it's bullish on the weekly chart, bullish on the 2-week chart. Not yet on the weekly chart, not back above the trending dots yet, but even had bullish divergence in the monthly chart, RSI buy signal, and it is building momentum back up to the upside overall, right? Versus in a downtrend, right? You got these trending dots on the monthly chart all the way back from February 2021. It's been in a downtrend with the trending dots on the monthly chart. Now they're starting to even out, right? Starting to even out. And if you look here, you know, kind of look at it just for like visual purposes only, right? You can see that RSI monthly sell signal was October 20th. Then you can see the bullish divergence, right, on the monthly chart. Then you can see the buy, and it continues to slowly move that way. So it's slowly going through this bottoming phase. Takes time to play out on a monthly chart, but that's what you're looking at, right? Had the RSI buy signal back here that lined up perfectly with the buy signal over here, and then price went all the way up here, and you can see the trend, the overall trend. Maybe, maybe not all of them pump either, right? So expect some, expect none. No, I wouldn't say expect none. Expect some to pump, and some of them maybe don't pump as hard, right? So, but yeah, we could look at it. I mean, I've been talking about it since the bottom. So could still be early on the monthly chart, but the weekly chart already had buy signals. The weekly chart already had buy signals. Daily chart already had a buy signal. So, right? I mean, it's not that far away from the last buy signals. Could it have a pullback? Yeah. Could it bounce all the way up to the 200-week moving average like I drew out here over time? You can kind of see the trajectory of the trending dots, and then get rejected, and then finally flip it, and that takes forever, months. That's a long time for a swing trader to, pump up here, come back down, right? Letting the monthly chart flip around bullish, and then takes off to the upside. So could take some time to play out. We don't know. Zcash. What's the ticker symbol? Is it just Zcash? ZEC. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to pump, they pump at different times, right? So this was May 2021. So, for example, it could be the canary in the coal mine, by the way. Fetch.ai pumped this hard back in March 2024, right? So they could just go at different times as well. So it's ultra bullish on the daily chart. Without looking at RSI, I could tell you it could be putting in bearish divergence. So, but that's a massive move. And I would love to see other altcoins do something similar. 600%. In November 2024, it didn't pump as hard as some of these other ones. So again, treat each one individually. XRP pumped hard in November 2024. HBAR pumped hard in 2024, November 2024. Fetch.ai pumped really hard March 2024. So Zcash, that November to December, while it was below the 200-week moving average, did not pump as hard. So some things that we could be looking out for is, let's get on the weekly chart. Again, the weekly chart flips around, right? and it's still ultra bullish on the weekly chart. So if the weekly chart flips around bullish and you start to see price get back above the 200-week moving average, you can see a massive move. That's what it took to happen on. So even if you got in the weekly chart $48, it's 650%. If you waited for it to get back above the 200-week moving average, 600%. If you waited for a close above the 200-week moving average on the weekly chart, it's 488%. So, but that would have kept you out of all this over here, waiting for something like that. 2-week chart had a buy signal as well. So when the higher time frames flip around bullish, that's when a big move happens, right? Not when it's below it. So you can see on the weekly chart, Zcash was below the trending dots, right? You can see Zcash was below the trending dots. You can see Zcash was below the trending dots. It's once it gets back above the trending dots and then a possible bigger move. And you can see the 200-week moving average was going in a downward slope. Once it starts pumping to the upside, it starts bringing the 200-week moving average back to an upward slope, right? So that's the difference of what we talked about earlier of what we're seeing below the trending dots. So that was a great entry on the weekly chart. Above the trending dots, a weekly buy signal closes above the downward trend line, above the trending dots, and once it closes back above the 200-week moving average, it's really off to the races after that. So personally, I'm not someone to wait for a 200-week moving average. That's not part of my overall strategy. But being aware that pushing it to the upside or that a bigger move could happen after that happens, okay. But for me, it's more about, are we getting a weekly close back above the trending dots? Are we getting a weekly close above this downward trend line? And if so, are we going to try to push it as long as possible until it closes back above the 200 moving average and then just takes off to the upside, right? So that's more like it. And if you go all the way back to the daily chart, right? Bullish, one last sell over there, and then takes off after that. So that's Zcash, right? So going back up to, let's say, Algo, right? And this is the weekly chart. Below the trending dots. But this was a buy signal above the trending dots, above, and that was a nice pump on December. So could Zcash be the canary in the coal mine for some of the altcoins? That would be awesome, number one. Number two, we're going to be looking for a similar setup to where we're back above the trending dots. We're getting above the downward trend line, right? So where is that downward trend line? This would be pretty hard to draw it out like that. Or is it more like more conservative is probably like that, right? So from here to here. So if you've got example, price is getting back above the trending dots with the weekly. Price is getting back above the downward trend line, getting closer to that 200-week moving average. You can see everything's sloping downward. So once the ship gets turned around and reverses, then maybe we could see a massive move like Zcash. So it looks different. XRP looks different. This was the buy signal over here. Downward trend line above the trending dots, gets above the 200-week moving average, and then pumps hard like Zcash, right? It looks different. So looks different. Looks different. This was different over here, right? Cardano, this looks different. So could be the canary in coal mine, but doesn't mean that it would take It may take weeks or months for it to flip back around. H bar above the trending dots taking on the upside looks different than trending dots trending downward. QNT, XLM above the trending dots, buy signal, gets back above the 200-week moving average, boom, races to the upside. So things to compare, right? Well below the trending dots on SUI. Mana, Fetch, above, again, going back to it, buy signal above the trending dots, then gets back above the 200-week moving average, boom, takes off to the upside. Looks different. Looks different, right? Dot below the trending dots. So hopefully that helps. Whew. Bitcoin. Above the trending dots ish over here, right? Gets back above the 200-week moving average. Boom, goes to the upside. While it's down below it, it takes time, right? And then gets back above it. Goes back below it, takes time, and then gets back above it. Goes back below it, takes time. So that's what we're looking at right now. Bitcoin looks different than Zcash, right? Zcash consolidating underneath of all of that, finally breaks above it, above the trending dots with the buy signal, and then finally gets back above the 200-week moving average for the first time since 2022, right? And then just rips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later, it's up 600%. So, whew. That's what we'd love to see multiple altcoins do. Zcash was not on my radar. I wish it would have. I wish it would have been, but it was not. So anything you, Jesse, like most from a technical standpoint for entry into a long position spot for short? Yep. Thank you. Yep. I mean, without getting it, I mean, I just pretty much all covered it, but also Litecoin. Yeah, because it's trending downward. Doge, I haven't looked at Doge in a little bit. Oh, almost knocked my water off. Doge. Where is Doge? There it is. Again, looks different, right? So had that buy signal above trending dots and got back above the 200-week moving average, pumped hard. So it looks completely different. It's above it, but it's trending downward overall, right? It already had that massive pump up, and that was back in October to December, right? So consolidating underneath the lower point and then takes off to the upside, versus after that, it's trending downward. So looks different. Yep, I think that's about it. Hour and 19 minutes. Oh, I was only going to do 45 minutes, but found some ones that we wanted to cover. It's okay. Don't forget to smash the like button. Help me help you help me on the algorithms. I appreciate it. With that, we will see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Have a good rest of your day, and let's continue to sniper the markets together. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Adios.